we'll call the Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, December 21st, 2015 to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Okay, weekly briefing. Looks like a sparse crowd out there, so I will just remind everybody this is Christmas week, so we will, on behalf of the board, extend our merriest Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. We will not be meeting next week, so we will be enjoying the holiday like you will with your friends and family. So, any public comment and announcements? Consent agenda, Janelle.
Mr. Chair, I move that we, A, approve minutes for 1 December 7th, 2015 regular meeting and 2 December 7th, 2015 executive session. B, approve the recommendation of the Interview Nominations Subcommittee to appoint the following: Ernest Crabtree, Conservation Commission, term expires June 30th, 2016. Cynthia Bayerl, is that how you say it?
Good.
Bayerl, Board of Health, June 30th, 2016. Brooke Canada, Youth Services, June 30th, 2018. Julia Eldridge, Housing Committee, June 30th, 2018. And Julia again, okay.
Yeah.
Julia again for the Youth Services, June 30th, 2018. C, approve the license agreement between the town and Bob Miller Golf for golf instruction program. D, approve the application for road race by Cape Cod Athletic Club for January 17th, 2016. And E, approve new application for Class 4 auto repairman license by Peter S. Stagg.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Could I just ask on the Board of Health, do we still have one more opening, or is that?
We have one more.
One more, okay. All right. Any other discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Thank you. Public hearings and presentations, we have none. Old business, CVAC. Liz, you're back again?
I'm back again.
For the third time. This has to do with the request for the additional adder of 1 cent per kilowatt hour. You sent us some information. I just asked if everybody's had a chance to review that, and is there any new information other than what you sent us, I guess, is the question.
No, not really. I just wanted to remind this board that the energy status quo is changing very quickly, and we hope you'll continue to fund us through the adder so that we can be your connection to the changes. And so battery technology, for instance, we're right on the front of that with the grant we got from the state, so we hope we can actually go forward with that grant. We won't if we don't get the adder.
Okay. What's the board's pleasure? Everybody had a chance to review the material? Linda, you had the list of questions.
I had those questions. Thank you very much for getting back to me with such clear and concise answers.
Thank you.
It's very nice.
Liz, is it my understanding that it's Harwich and Barnstable that the two that haven't done anything with this yet? Is it
And Edgartown.
Edgartown? Okay.
Yeah. And we actually have a reason to kind of hold off on Edgartown till the very end, and that is they had one of their projects that went in at one of their, it's called the well site, had quite a few issues, and the town ended up putting up a bunch of money, $90,000 actually. So CVAC is going to need to figure out how we can get an adder and also relieve the town of that burden, and we're not sure how we're going to do that, but that's why we're waiting until the end and still working on that.
Okay, and just to be clear, in case I misunderstood, the request you have before us is the 1 cent per kilowatt hour, and it's for 2 years. Is that what I remember?
Correct.
2 years. Okay. All right. Linda.
Based on the answer that you gave in terms of the legal fees, can we hope that you will be as judicious as possible in using that budget and keep it as close as possible?
You know, that's certainly my total focus, and I've been very good at it, you may have noticed. But I would remind you, too, that at the end of 2 years, and frankly, you know, you've got Larry and Barry Worth as well. They will come back to you with interim reports anytime you request one. So I would encourage that.
I'm just saying just to keep an eye on the lawyers because...
That has been the problem, and we have managed to bring it under control, and if it gets out of control, we will not be able to come back to you.
And by the way, just since you mentioned Barry Worth, he's submitted his resignation and we'll take up at our next meeting. So he's retiring, basically.
Well, we'll keep him close. We won't let him get away.
Okay. For this board, I just ask you, you know, if you do this, where the money comes from and what it comes out of, I guess is
yes.
the question, so.
We know that.
All right, what do you want to do?
Linda, have more questions?
I think she's done.
So,
Michael?
my question is, I don't see that legal was really reduced at all.
Well, we're talking about the $400,000 that, if we look at the budget that was originally submitted with a 2011, 12, 13, and 14, that shows you how we were running at $400,000 a year.
Okay, I'm looking at last year. Sorry, I don't have a mic. I'll speak loud. I'm looking at last year, and it looks like it was 152 last year. It's 122 this year. But you've added 33,000 to a paid consultant, another 10,000 for a bookkeeper, and another 10,000 for another consultant.
We are hoping, don't forget that you're looking at a forecast budget, and we're hoping that we will not need to use, for instance, the consultant that's labeled board advisor. That was the past president. When the new president came in September, he wanted to have access to the past board president because of institutional knowledge and just in case he needed to lean on him. We haven't used it. I'm sure as heck angling not to use it. The 32,000 for the consultant that's accounting, that is something that we're meaning to keep. We have hired Glavinsky and Associates, and they've become pretty integral to our operations. The 122 for legal, we are running right now under that. I mean, if you look at a monthly, and we don't have that for you, but we are working on that. We'll have it for January. Will be a monthly, where are we in position with the budget? And we're running under, so that's the good news. But like any good budget, if we're not realistic, then we haven't helped you see things, and we certainly haven't helped ourselves. So the hope is that we are going to be reducing a lot of this. The travel, for instance, is 6,000. I hope we can reduce that. The audit fees are locked. We're not going to be able to reduce that. But just in general to say, you know, yes, this is sort of my prime focus, my prime goal, and every place we can reduce, we are reducing.
Okay, thank you. The next question is Barnstable. Can
Yeah.
you explain to us why you guys haven't approached Barnstable at all yet?
Candidly, I think I should probably leave that alone because the board president, as you know, is the Barnstable assistant attorney. And he, working with the town of Barnstable, has not gotten a date for it. The board voted at the last board meeting that we would go to Barnstable and have a presentation as we have with all the other towns. There's no reason or rhyme why we shouldn't, CVEC shouldn't have that opportunity in Barnstable. So we're working on getting the date.
So and the last question, I guess, before a motion, the Edgartown, you presented to them, and I believe...
We didn't present to them yet, not to interrupt you, Mike, but I met with one of the Board of Selectmen when I was over there, and he made a request based on the issues that they were having with the costs to them over the course of the last year, that the board try to figure out how to work with them. And that's, we had one proposition that we brought to the board in November's board meeting, and it didn't get approved by the board. So we still have a challenge there, and I don't know how that's going to play out.
So one of your meetings, recent meetings, you guys discussed making them an offer, changing, not a 1 cent adder, but maybe a half.
No, definitely not. We decided that if we have an adder, we're a cooperative. We can't adjust for different towns. What happens for one town must go forward for all of the members.
Okay.
So that was definitely off the table.
So Liz, just to reinforce that one, if I remember right, when you first came to see us, it's everybody buys into this or nobody does, right?
That's
Is that
right.
the way- is that the
That's
way-
still the way we're approaching it.
Okay.
I omitted to note that we have Larry Cole here from the board. I also have Austin Brandt, who's also a director. I just wanted to make sure he's
Yep.
Great.
noted.
Yep. Linda?
One more question.
Possibility with Edgartown second year, right?
No, I think at this point, with the last discussion, he's trying to remember the board discussion, but the board discussion was how can we help them with their costs? But the adder, as I just said, has to be across the board for everybody.
Linda?
One more question, always one more question.
Yeah.
In your response, you said that the consultants that in budget of 2016 is budgeted for 33,600, accounting, Argo Consulting, and the response was there would no longer any money budgeted for a consultant like that. It's down in the bookkeeping with Glavinsky, I'm assuming. So does that 33,600 come out of your line items?
No, unfortunately, the 33 is Glavinsky, 33.6 is Glavinsky. Argo Consulting, and I've removed
Okay.
it in some of my versions,
So
and I
who's the
apologize.
bookkeeper?
The bookkeeper is the town, county. We have an administrative agreement with the Barnstable County, and up until now, it's been gratis, but that's not going to be the case going forward. So part of the county is reviewing its budget right now. Part of what they are doing is trying to cost they're letting us know what the costs are gonna be going forward, and that's her per hour cost for the county bookkeeper.
Well, what does the county bookkeeper do for you?
The county bookkeeper, we have division, so the consultant is keeping the books, but the county bookkeeper writes the checks and does all the bank reconciliations. And I suspect now that we have Glavinsky,
I'll do it for 5.
you may be on, Linda. But I think, again, this has been
Conflict of
a work in progress, and we have to get board approval before I can change it. So Glavinsky is new to us.
Yep.
And knowing what she's going to take on was discussed at the last finance committee, and that was our first finance committee meeting 2 weeks ago. And so those two numbers, you're quite right, I think they're fat because we hope to be able to combine and make it more efficient somehow.
Liz,
But
what's
at
your-
this point, we don't know how we're going to do that.
Liz, what's your fiscal year? When does it start?
We end June 30th.
Okay, so the budget we're talking about wouldn't take effect until July 1st of next year.
That's right.
So, I mean,
And we're about to reform it. I mean, that was part of the FinCom discussion is,
understand. I mean,
Yep.
one of the questions is to come back again with, revised data as we go forward. Do we get a chance to see our own budget and where we think this might come from? Because quite frankly, at the moment, I have no idea where it would come from. Okay? That's where I am at the moment. And the other thing is, it sounds like either Barnstable's gonna buy into this or they're not, and that's gonna be the deal killer, one way or the other, I don't know, so. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I
Michael.
would recommend that, we wait until we have them come back yet again after they talk to Barnstable. I mean, we can make a motion now, but do we make a motion to reject the adder pending their conversation with Barnstable, or do we just leave it alone and come back?
We can do whatever we want. I guess the question is what the sense of the board is. If you thought, for instance, I'm just listening, if you thought, for instance, that we had no appetite for this unless Barnstable was in, we might wait and see what Barnstable does. If we thought that we were in, then we'd just jump in. So, I don't know where the board is on this one. Oh, Linda.
Well, if Barnstable is in or out, if they're not, if everybody doesn't vote for this, then it doesn't go forward.
that's been that has not been a vote by the board. It has been a discussion.
Got it.
We haven't been pushed to the brink of making that vote yet, but, I mean, the sense is, none of the towns have signed the documents that would affect the round one adder. So when we went back to those towns and said, well, it's all you guys and not this town, the sense is that those towns aren't going to sign the amendment. It is an energy cooperative, so it's been echoed over and over again that we can't expect to play favorites.
I understand.
Yeah.
And Liz, honestly, I'm concerned that you guys haven't even approached, you've been here 3 times, and you guys haven't approached Barnstable yet.
I hear you, and I don't want to get into our internal mechanics, but that has been a subject of great discussion. So we are working very hard to get in front of Barnstable. As you noted, we're coming up fast on the June deadline, the end of June, when this has to be either we're going forward as CVAC as we know it, or we need to start thinking about how we redesign ourselves to stick to the budget that Linda asked for.
Angela?
Just a question. 2 or 3 times in the conversation in the last 15 minutes, you've mentioned that you thought this particular area might be smaller, budget item might be reduced.
Mhm.
And I think there are 2 or 3 of those that you mentioned. Should we wait until, you have more time to do this budget? In other words, if it's not going to impact until July, and you have another 3 or 4 months to look at those items, at least the budget will be tighter, probably.
Yeah, I don't think, Angelo, that frankly that the budget's going to change as drastically as we might hope. I think things are going to move around, but I don't foresee. I mean, if we cut the bookkeeper, and it becomes an item that Glavinsky handles or Linda handles. I mean, she was talking, even Linda was saying, it's still half of what we're paying the county. So that's not a big ticket item. I mean, the real challenge is for me to keep the legal costs down. And that's, we've been doing it for a couple of years, and I believe we can continue to operate with reduced legal costs.
Hang on 1 second. I think for this board's benefit, that's my suggestion is that we need to get a glimpse at our own budget. I got a glimpse last week of what the school budget's looking like, and it's
Is it going to be a surprise?
no surprise. It's more challenging than what we might have thought. I mean, there's some things going on out there, and I think we're going to need to at least get a look at that before we say, we're going to figure out how to shed, if you will, the kind of money to support this. And I would encourage, hearing back from Barnstable, quite frankly, let's, so that, I don't even think we have to vote something. I would just say, come back with number one, if there is a revised budget, give us a chance to get through January so we at least hear our budget and what's going on, and then let's get some feedback as to what Barnstable is interested in. So that's where I am on it.
Just to follow up on that, Peter, can I assume we're not going to be living within the 2.5 that we asked them? Or should we just, was that a pipe dream?
You talking about the schools?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just give you a glimpse and say that's not the proposal, let's put it that way. Okay.
I'm shocked.
All right, so what do you want to do? Is that okay, what I just said?
I mean, I don't want to continue to make Liz come back, but I am, if I had to vote on it now, my vote is no. I would not support.
Oh, then
the
make
1
me
cent.
come back, please. I don't want to hear
wouldn't support the
no.
1 cent adder at this point without you guys even visiting Barnstable. I
Okay.
think Barnstable's another big player in this, and
Clearly.
next to us, I think, they should be approached, and like Peter said, we have our own budget things we have to look at. But to me, it's more important that Barnstable gives you a nod, and then if we're the last one standing, we give this some thought. But if you wanted a motion tonight, my vote would be no.
Hey, Linda.
And I would be uncomfortable if your board has not said all in, because if we vote to do this, take it out of our budget, and Barnstable doesn't,
We understand.
that's going to be one of those stick in the craw type things.
Right, and don't forget, like I was saying, these votes are contingent upon signing. You haven't seen the document, there's no signature anywhere. So what we're trying to do is, we don't want to hire the lawyer to work on any documents until we know where we're going to be able to afford a lawyer. So I know I understand the sense of the board tonight, but even in a future vote, don't forget, you always have the chance to say we're not signing.
Okay, is that the sense of the board?
I think so.
Everybody okay?
It would be also helpful if she had all the budget items firmed up.
We'll try. I mean, we're meeting again in January 14th, I think it is. Yes, 14th. And the plan is to have FinCom deliver another revised budget. So we're trying, Angelo.
All right, thanks, Liz.
Did you, Larry, I think once.
Well,
Larry.
a couple of things. I don't see any possibility that the adder would be established for some towns and not for others, simply because some towns voted yes so far, and others vote no. I don't think there's a program unless everybody agrees. On the other hand, if it doesn't pass and some towns want to volunteer, it'll be accepted. Angelo, I think with respect to the budget items, where Liz has said she hopes they will be lower, I think there's no particular expectation about what the lower number might be. There's just hope that things will come in lower. I think it'd have to be into the next year by 3 months, seeing how they were going, to project what a final would be.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you. Okay,
Thanks, Liz.
And the one in yellow is the revenue sharing.
Thank you.
So that's what you're bringing in from your off-takers.
Thank you.
Which I think is the value of CVAC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, while you're still on this topic, just one comment, not having to do specifically with how you vote on this, but for the benefit of the members of the audience, those who, if they were wondering why you were rankled 3 weeks ago about where the money that comes from Eversource via CVEC was going once it got to the town, and there was a question about what are the rules governing it. There are no rules coming from CVEC,
I understand.
and it's a wholly internal matter. If there's any rules, it would have to do with the fact that one of the departments is an enterprise fund.
I understand.
Yeah, okay.
Thank
And
you.
by the way, that's something, we can take on our side to start looking at a little closer to see if we can get some relief there.
Well, yes, and we were fortunate that we have a big project that NSTAR decided before it became Eversource
Right.
would be paid off with a lump,
Right.
whereas some of the smaller ones, it's account by account.
I understand. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, next, we have golf fees for 2016 season and a discussion of the Golf Improvement Fund and Golf Revolving Fund. Roman.
Hello, Mr. Chairman,
I was
members
gonna
of
put
the
you up
board.
there, right? It's just gonna say, I'm right behind you, so, how are you?
Teamwork.
There you go.
So,
You were
we've
before us a few weeks ago, I don't remember
Yes.
exactly the date, but I know we had a discussion about, what to do, charging folks in Chatham versus Harwich and those kinds of things, so
Right.
I assume this is now your recommendation for the next year.
Yes, so what we're hoping to do tonight is just to recommend the fees to you for approval. Starting in January 1st, we are hoping to be in business for selling tea times. Our phone does ring off the hook in early January with hotels looking to book for the year. So the discussion about the funds, we're still in talks with the town administrator and the assistant town administrator about really which fund is appropriate. What we're hoping to do with the fees is add the surcharge that we mentioned, a surcharge of $2 on every greens fee, $1 on every cart fee, to capture that for infrastructure projects, either in one of our existing funds, or we're determining if it'd be appropriate to create a new fund. But we are looking to move forward with the recommendations.
Okay, what's a revitalization fund?
So,
Typo in here, I think, twice.
is it okay?
I think.
Yeah.
Thank you. The Infrastructure Revitalization Fund is what we're discussing.
Yeah, okay.
That could be a future fund. That's what we're in discussions about.
Understand. Linda?
And I think I was the one who was questioning, did we need a separate fund for capital improvements? Since we had already passed a capital improvements receipts reserve fund. And that was my question.
Sure.
Why did we need a separate fund, or could we just put all this $2 into that same fund because it's all for capital projects? And I hope that as you're talking through that, that you will get an opinion from town council if we can do that. Because I'd be much happier with, personally, if we need an article to expand it, I'd rather have an article to expand the existing receipts reserve fund, rather than start creating more and more and more and more funds.
Sure.
Because, how much do we want to have a nightmare for Andy Gould?
Let's keep those accountants working.
Keep those
Yeah,
accountants
actually, Clem had a discussion with Andy, And he actually would prefer a separate account, because even though it is one more account to follow, you know, you've got this money going into this pocket and this money going into that pocket, so.
That makes absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm an
I-
accountant by trade, and that makes, because this money is to be spent on capital improvements, I have absolutely no reason why that would even make any sense.
Well, one thing we're hoping to do, and we don't hope to come to a conclusion on this tonight on the funds, but we really see unique areas on the golf course. In good faith, we're charging a surcharge to the membership for golf course improvement funds, and that money specifically designated for the golf course and to annually address projects on the golf course. We're hoping to capture this money for an upcoming cart barn project and some projects with our buildings, and so we're really hoping to keep those monies separate, but once again, we don't need to decide that tonight. That was really the discussion of the funds, is we don't have infinite areas to address. We kind of have two, the golf course and then the infrastructure buildings at the property.
Yeah, again, I will suggest that everybody read the 2012 article
Yep.
as to what it was supposed to be, and that's capital improvements, not capital improvements for this, and then another one for the cart barn, and one for the parking lot.
Okay, so this evening, just to move this forward a little bit, you're asking us on the sheet that says Cranberry Valley proposed rate changes for 2016. You would like us to approve those, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, do you want to walk through those on the sheet?
I will.
Do you have the sheet there?
I do. So
You can just tell us the changes.
Yeah, we're recommending no changes to the membership. That's a big one. All the membership rates are to remain the same. As you walk your way down the list where it says green fees, the column on the right would be the new proposed changes. They're strictly $2, have been raised $2 across the board there. As we get into the second page, same thing. We have a couple changes on the range pass, which is just an annual pass to use the unlimited driving range balls. What we're hoping to do there is to encourage more membership there, so we've dropped that rate because it turns out that we're really not capturing as many members of the driving range as we'd like. So we dropped that rate to $250 while raising the rate of the per bucket, per usage, raising that to really incentivize becoming a member. Really, in general, no major changes. In addition,
People have range passes, do you know?
yeah, right now it's around 22,
20.
I believe. It's hit a high point at in the 60s in the past, so we're hoping to get back up to that.
Just a quick question.
Yes,
I'm
please.
not a
You know.
golfer, so I just have a quick
Yes,
question.
please.
So a range pass means you can only go to the driving range, you cannot golf,
That's true.
but a golfer can go to the range.
That's
of
true.
the
There
golfing
are
membership.
some people that are really into practicing. A lot of our range pass holders are also members of the golf course, so it's an additional fee to play unlimited golf and unlimited driving range practice.
Okay,
Some people uniquely only do the driving range that are really just into practicing. So it really can be either, but most of our driving range members are members of the golf course as well. They have unlimited pass on both.
so a regular golf membership for the 770
Yes,
does not include the driving
does not
range?
include the driving range.
Okay,
So if you wanted to increase the fees or increase the number of people with a driving range pass, what you do is have the selectmen out there trying to catch the balls as they're hit.
Or
That could
tied-
be a
We could get
fundraiser.
creative.
Or tied to a
Tied to
tree.
a,
There you
to a
go.
tree, I
We
think.
could be a
Speak for
target.
yourself.
Have you seen the cart with the cage on it that drives around?
That could-
Everybody loves to hit the cart. We could have you drive the
We could
cart.
be a fundraiser, you know?
do that.
It could be. Think about that, you know?
I nominate Peter for that role.
Thank you very much, yeah.
I'll do
With
it.
my luck, the golf cart will run out of gas or electricity or something, I'll be stuck someone to be shooting at me, so, anyhow.
So
Okay.
other than the $2 for greens fees across the board, $1 for cart fees, we're looking to offer a 9-hole rate, which we currently don't do. We've done some research, and Thursday and Saturday afternoons are quiet times of the golf course. We'd love to offer a 9-hole rate, which is attractive to beginners, families with children. So we really aimed at those 2 times to offer a 9-hole rate, which we've never offered in the past. And it creates a little goodwill to the beginner golfers, because we're currently, even if they only want to play 9, only have time for 9, they're paying for the full 18 holes. So now we'd have an opportunity to say, well, come on back on Thursday, make a tee time on Thursday or Sunday afternoons, and we can accommodate you for 9-hole rounds at a 9-hole rate. We're also looking to offer a 10% active military discount. That's fairly common at the golf courses on the Cape, and it's something we don't currently do. It would be, once again, a nice goodwill gesture to active military. we don't see a ton of active
And that would
military.
apply to any service they buy from the golf course?
Yes. No, I'm sorry, greens fees, just for their
greens
green
fees,
fee to
okay.
play golf, yes. And then, as I mentioned, the driving range, that's all we've really done. I think in our discussions with you last time, my recommendation is not to change the rate of the Chatham membership
Right,
items.
we're on board with that, yeah. Yeah, okay. And so if I look at the bottom of the first page you gave us, it says total equal infrastructure revitalization fund 47,000 and revenue equal to $10,098. So does that apply with all the changes you've made in the fees that you identified here? The net result, the way you're proposing it, would be above $47,000 to that fund,
Yes.
or any fund.
Any fund, just to capture in a dedicated
And then an
fund.
additional 10,000 in revenue, is
Yes,
that?
correct.
And I'm guessing you're assuming you're not gonna lose any members because of this, or?
Right. No, by not raising the membership rates, I think that's, we don't anticipate losing any members. And the $1 on cart fees, I did a presentation to the golf committee. It's appropriate every few years, those rates go up $1, and it's the appropriate time.
Yeah, no, we understand. Okay. Linda?
Just one more on a second infrastructure revitalization fund. Don't we have to have that go through town meeting?
Yes,
So that therefore these fees wouldn't even be able to be charged before July 1st?
right.
Now, is it, if the rates are approved currently, could we then come back and recapture any of this money based on these rates? So if these rates are approved tonight, the surcharges in addition to the current rates, that money can't be captured until July 1st?
I guess that's the way I understand it. It would
That's
just
how
go
I
into the-
understand
It
it.
would just go into the
fund.
general fund.
Right.
Unless it goes into the existing infrastructure fund.
Okay,
Right.
So that's why
So
it
that's
should be a
another reason
clarification.
for,
got it.
Yeah.
Stick with the
Not
same
creating a
fund,
new
that
one.
way between
otherwise you lose a year.
January
Okay.
1st and July 1st, at least you get that half year.
Got it, okay.
Well, I think what they need to do
Angela.
is put it in their current fund, keep track of the dollars. And if you want to, you go to town meeting and then transfer it from one fund to
Sure.
the other.
That's been discussed, okay.
Okay? So, but that's what I think has to be done
Okay.
tonight.
You don't wanna lose it.
You don't
No,
want
we
to
don't wanna
lose
lose
it.
it.
Sure.
We don't wanna lose it.
Michael?
And with that said, why don't we just keep it in one fund and you keep track of it on a spreadsheet as you collect it?
Sure.
Why do we need two funds?
I don't know, that's what we're discussing, we've been working with the town administrator, was mentioned, we got, word from Andy Gould that he preferred a separate fund for it, so, we're really not opinionated one way or the other. We wanna capture the money and have it, the current money available to the golf course and this future surcharge available to a possible cart barn project that we're.
Well, I think you
got on the
can, it's
horizon.
just a matter of keeping track
Well,
of what
just-
money is being spent
Sure.
on what on the same spreadsheet.
I think you shouldn't worry about it, any separate fund, assume it's the same fund,
Yeah.
that's the way it should go forward. And then, if Andy or anybody else, town administrator, wants to come back and suggest that, they can bring that back to the
Yeah,
board,
well,
and we'll have a discussion.
They'll have
Sounds good.
6 months, almost 6 months of the one fund, and if you get through to March or so and it doesn't seem to be working right, you can always put in, the request in special.
Mike,
It's
I
fine.
move we approve,
I'm sorry, I just want to ask one more
it's our
question.
goal right here.
Because I'm not, yeah,
that's
I'm a
good.
little confused because I'm not a golfer, and
Great.
I would just like a little clarification.
Please,
So I'm looking at the fees. Member golf cart 18 hole, $19. Golf cart 18 hole per person, I assume that means not a member,
non-member,
$21.
sure, okay.
What exactly is the membership fee for?
So the membership fee is for unlimited golf, they don't pay a fee to golf when they play. It's like they bought a season pass for the golf course is what the, member fee is. Then they have the option to take a cart when they play or to not take a cart when they play. Many of them
So they don't play
walk.
what's called the greens fee, or pay a greens fee when
They
you go
can
to play
carry
every
their
time.
bag,
Okay, all right.
pull it.
So there's a greens fee, and then the cart is extra, gotcha.
Yes. So
Thank you.
the membership is basically just the greens fee. It's a greens fee, unlimited greens fee pass.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You all set, Janelle?
I'm all set.
Hey, Michael, do you have a motion?
I move we approve the 2016 golf fees as presented.
Second.
For the second to approve the 2016 Cranberry Valley golf fees as presented. Discussion? Hearing none, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? It's a vote. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, happy
By the way,
holidays.
no one's on the golf
Thank
course
you.
these days, right?
Oh, we're on temporary greens and temporary tees, so it's a limited golf course. We have a dedicated 8 to 10 people to walk it every day for exercise. So there are a few.
They walk or they're playing golf?
They hit the ball a little bit and walk, but they are playing a little bit. The game's not as fun when it's on temporary greens and tees, so that discourages a lot of people. But we're giving our greens and tees a rest.
Yeah, weather's so nice, though.
It's been beautiful. So they're out there walking along,
All right.
playing the limited course.
All right, Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Merry
Happy New Year.
Christmas.
We'll see you next
Thank
year,
you.
yep, thank you. Town Administrator's report.
I will keep this brief. As the chair said, there is no meeting next week. Town Hall will be open 8:30 to 4, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, with no selectmen's meeting. Also a reminder that there is the public hearing between the Selectmen, the Finance Committee, and the Capital Outlays Committee to conduct the public hearing on the 7-year capital plan, and that is the January 4th. A couple other things, just to let you know, regarding the Hall property, the town did not receive the state land grant funding for that. I also wanted to point out, this was last week here, but we were so late last week. We do have new ceiling tiles and a new paint job in here, thanks to the maintenance and highway, as well as the sheriff's department, the folks from
Much brighter it is. You don't think so?
from there.
It's much brighter in this room.
Much brighter.
What happened to the blinds?
They'll be
cleaned or-
back. They're
Okay.
being repaired
out.
and fixed.
Being repaired.
Yeah.
Okay.
We knew we didn't need them quickly for night meetings because today's the
We don't want
longest
anybody
day of the
peeking in
year.
windows, you know?
Or the shortest day of the year, I should say.
Yeah.
I hate being
Winter
picky.
solstice. Yep.
Why do we have one orange set of lights in here?
That I don't know.
Why do we have what?
Just so you can ask the question, that's all. Those are halogen lights, they need to be.
I think it's just your eyes, Angela. It's
Yeah,
white.
yeah, it's white. What are you talking about?
We don't see any difference.
Okay.
And also to let you know that we are planning a training session, by town council for regulatory boards and committees on January 14th at 6 PM. It's a Thursday evening. I will send out save the date and reminder notices, actually both. And the selectmen certainly are welcome to attend. It's going to be how to hold a meeting, how to hold a public hearing, the proper process, just kind of a refresher course for different boards and committees.
Thank you.
And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Selectmen's report, Janelle,
I don't have anything.
Michael, Linda?
Just as we update our committee handbook, if I could have any documents that come out of that meeting, the January 14th,
Absolutely.
and then we can make sure that have our information is all updated before we issue that.
Great idea.
Thank you.
Angelo?
Merry Christmas.
Thank you,
everybody.
okay, so one thing I have is, at our last meeting, we took up, we had a public hearing on the community development plan, or what it was
Oh,
called.
yeah.
Yes.
Because there was an error in the day, I think it was listed as Thursday, the date was right, but there's an error in the day.
Right, right.
We have re-advertised that, I'm gonna bring that hearing back on the 4th. It does violate our policy of giving a 2-week notification, but it's important to the grant writers to get it back in front of us and make it legal, so we're doing that.
Yes. And we are advertising it both on the 23rd and the 30th. It only required one date, but we said we'll do it 2 dates.
We're just covering bases
Yeah.
here. I mean, I don't
Excellent.
expect anything new. It'll
Good.
take 30 seconds or whatever, but I just want to make sure, we don't jeopardize a grant because of it.
Absolutely.
Okay? The thing I just had was, Merry Christmas to everybody out there, and Happy New Year, and we'll see you
Next year.
next year on January 4th. So be safe and enjoy your families.
Yeah, thank you.
Merry
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.